let's start.
Cheers to the Lincia Rosario show.
Yeah, let's start. Hello everyone, this is the Lincia Rosario show. Hi, this is the Lincia Rosario show and I am so happy to finally start this. I wanted to do this since eons but कोई नहीं, अभी शुरू कर रहे हैं. And my first guest, इनके बारे में मैं क्या बोलूँ, he is a world renowned MC है मेरा. Sorry.
I am a world renowned MC. This is not a blooper, we're continuing from here.
Okay.
Of course I am. That's what my mama said.
So he is a world renowned MC, a singer, my bestie, a motivational speaker, and he is Clint Vargas.
Thank
Hello
you very
there.
much. Hi Lincia, how are you?
It's great to have you.
It's amazing to be on the Lincia Rosario show. To begin with, thank you very much for the kind words.
World's best MC.
No, but I think even the jokes aside, the best part is we've known each other for over almost a decade now. We know closely, we've worked closely for over half a decade.
Yes.
We've hosted a bunch of gigs, spent a lot of time together. We know so much about our personal and professional life. One thing I have to say about you is, what inspires me the most about you is that you are an action taker. We all have a lot of thoughts and ideas in life, and for us, we all, the idea of success is the ability to convert, or the quantum of thoughts that gets converted into real-time action is largely what success we know as. And the best part about you is you have a natural, automated driving force to take action, and I think that in many people, that's one of the challenges a lot of us face. So you inspire me. So thank you very much. Your podcast is a way of, I think the podcast will eventually help inspire thousands, millions, and the world with your words.
Such kind words. You never told this to me in the last 10 years.
I just said it for the podcast.
Such an ass. You never said this to me. Being an MTV VJ, a lot of people look up to that. Like, being on television is not easy. How did you crack that entire aspect? Because there are so many out there who want to be on television.
So I think I'm going to split this whole question into the two segments largely, right? The first part is, as you said, that when you get a call from your brother or their friends and they always say, hey, you're Clint's and Aman's friend and all of that, which means isn't that true that we are the sum total of the close friends that we chill with, right? So if there are people, which means it's a great thing. I get told that the people that I chill with, they are being looked upon by a bunch of other people. So if you can have a community of people that kind of cross-pollinate, cross-inspire each other, then I think that's a strong thing you've been able, like a strong ecosystem you've been able to build for yourself, for your growth mindset, for your whatever larger part of things is. Second part, how MTV happened. I think I truly believe in the power of universal forces, and if you think something and if you work towards it, the God's hand comes into play largely. We've always wanted to be we all want to be famous, we all want to be all that, we get attention, because I think that's part of our natural human evolution, to be wanted by someone or largely by everyone and all of that. So TV presenter deal happened. I had done 2015, I had done a show called MTV Great Selfie Challenge.
And how did that happen? I don't know the backstory behind that.
So the backstory, even you don't know about it. So what actually happened is, I think 2014, I had 2013, 1st of December 2013, I was performing with my band at an international music festival, 5,000-6,000 people, and I had just broken 2 ribs a month before that.
You jumped, I saw that video.
Yeah,
it's there on Instagram, you should check it out.
And on
insane.
YouTube as well. Clint Varghese, just write Bone is Broken but Not the Spirit by Clint Varghese. You will find a kick-ass video.
It was jaw-dropping to just watch you. You're all da-da-da out there, and suddenly you are down there. You could feel that something's not right. and still you're entertaining the audience in that pain.
I remember, because I'm hyperactive guy, always running around, meeting people, doing things. Around that time, in just post-surgery, around April, May, I was sitting at home and trying to figure out now what the
what
hell to do now. What do you do while you're sitting on the bed? So then I said, then I met a bunch of friends and they said, you know what, this guy's a videographer, this guy's a photographer. They said, let's do a media production setup. Let's get everybody together. We'll do a collective. Whatever infrastructure would be required, because I had some saved money. So I said, okay, we'll need a editing device, we need this, that. So I invested into all of that. Everybody came with whatever gears they had. And we used to all do some after movies for like concerts and college festivals and all of that. And people, and everybody was just starting. They were all passionate photographers, videographers, editors, animators and all of that. We kind of came in a collective and we started working with a lot of artists, colleges and so on and so forth, creating content for them. The best part came out of that was over the period of time, these boys who were part of the collective eventually went on to do major work with like BBC, MTV, National Geography, shows like, Roadies, Splitsvilla. All of these guys were like shooting across like Viacom, all these big production houses that these guys were working with, working on bigger projects. As time passed by, within 6 months, 8 months, a year, and that's 2014 where we had started. By 2015, these guys had started like, doing multiple projects, and I was very happy about it, because for me that duration of just sitting at home trying to figure out what to do, and we kind of started this, kind of helped me also understand the dynamics of certain things, like when you're shooting content, the audio part of it, the video part of it. It was a learning process largely in many ways. So what we did is, by 2015, this guy, one of my friend Gaurav, who was already working on various projects with, our first after movie that we did as Dynamite Duo was shot by Gaurav. Gaurav told me, Clint, there is this show called, travel adventure show called Great Selfie Challenge. Why don't you check this out? So मैंने बोला क्या करना है? So there was some online auditions, you had to send some video, then they would shortlist you, then there would be a group discussion, there was a personal interview, and after all of that from across India, there were 5 people who were selected. There were 3 boys, 2 girls. I was one of the guys, and a month later, I ended up winning the show. Now I was like, whoa, I am a winner of a MTV travel adventure show.
That's
What's
big.
next? That's big. That's huge. That's huge.
At that particular point
at 2015,
time, that's huge.
I have leveraged that so much into my marketing, into my life as an MC. I think I truly believe I'm a great performer, but I am an even better marketeer of what I do or who I am, and maybe this is what I personally feel, and that's why, if at all I have to attribute a lot of my achievements and successes, other than the skill sets, creative artistic skill sets that I possess, I feel it's the marketing skill sets that has kind of been more stronger. I mean, here's what it is: if you don't have a strong product, you can't market anything. I know my product is very strong, but a strong product is of no use if it doesn't get the right marketing.
True.
Right? So I think it's you got to have that both push. So that's how. Then 2015 that happened, and I'm like hoping that MTV is going to call me someday and tell me that, Clint's okay, why don't we have you host this show or that show. Cut to 1 year later is when I get a call from MTV again. Shout out to Xerxes Vadia. He was a very good friend. I call him my bal bro. You've met Xerxes as well. In fact, we both had auditioned for that same show as well. Right. I remember coming to St. Regis, you were hosting a gig.
No, that was for something else. That was for JK
Tyre. The 2016 is when we were auditioning, and I had already gone in for a screen test, and
I lost the show to Binaf Shah. Super cool.
You didn't lose the show or whatever. I think this is what it is, right? Like MTV, for MTV, the call was about they have like, let's say they're winners or they're contestants on various shows, right? Look at it as an ecosystem model again. So once you watch a Roadies, there is tens of thousands or lakhs of people, hundreds of thousands of people who watch the show across the country and even globally. So if you've been a part of a show, so you are known to that MTV universe all of a sudden. Now there is a next show that's coming which needs a new bunch of hosts. It's not like traditionally like Galen or Ran Vijay or of the host VJs that host a lot of shows. So which means now for them to come up with a new face, does that new face have any marketing value other than skill set? We were talking about skill set and marketing value. So skill set is great. There are a lot of people who know to talk well, are camera confident and all of that.
Right.
But MTV looks at it as how do they market them? Oh, she's from Roadies. Oh, he's from Splitsvilla. Which means they have their own ecosystem, which means on Instagram they have X amount of popularity.
Absolutely.
And hence that also becomes a deliverable from Viacom or MTV in this case to the client. So when they approach, let's say in this case, which was a JK Tyre MTV Trackstar 2 second season that we were hosting. So the deliverable given to JK is we are giving you 2 VJs who have X amount of social media followership as well, which means these guys are going to further take and create an impact of the show or of the brand onto their social platform, and that is an important criteria. Social media, that's why is a very important game that all, if you are an artist, if you are a budding artist,
I think not only artists, I think for an
anybody, but because we are talking artistic things, and I'm sure we'll get into the entrepreneurial conversations.
Because I feel like at the end of the day, you be it an entrepreneur, be it an employee, it's a space where you can showcase your talent, your product, your service. I think social media is the thing, but at the same time I see zillions of people who I come across in my life, they are not doing social media, but they're still doing phenomenally well.
First, what is social media in my opinion? Social media is an opportunity for the 21st century humanity where you can let people know what you want them to know about you. In today's times, what is in the last 6 months, how many times have we met? 2-3 times?
I think 4 times probably.
Let's say 4 times, but we still know so much about each other, right? Cut to 20 years earlier, if there are people who've met 4 times in the past 6 months, they would be just continuing on conversation they had from the previous times. That's the power of social media, because today I can put a story, a picture, a video on social media, and if I consistently do that, people after a point in time will perceive that about me. And that's the power of social media. So there, it can be used as a great tool to create a brand out of yourself, to let people know what you want them to know about you. So that's what social media is.
Which brings me to the next question that, I always feel about Clint that he gives a rat's ass about what people think about him. He goes at the airport and he clicks this airport selfie with everybody staring at him, and then he will do a dance. If today I tell him, hey listen, you have to go randomly on the road and just dance for like half an hour, this man will do it. And of course I think as entertainers we do that. But how can our youngsters instill this kind of confidence? Not even youngsters, I think a lot of people out there are very coy. They always think, "Arey, wo kya sochega? What will that person think of me?" How do you handle that? And what did it for you? Ki, screw it, man. I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway.
Largely, here's my take on it. I have been a rebellious child as a teenager because I was very strong about certain things that I believed in. That comes from, I think that's my innate behavior comes from my parents, and then maybe they got it from their parents, and you can trace it back to ancestors. But what I choose to believe in is maybe that's my individuality. What is my right and wrong is largely, again, I feel, of course it has influences, inspirations, elements of a lot of things, teachings of teachers, blessings of parents, support of the friends. All of this is like pillars that hold that table largely in that sense. But I have lived a life, and I continue to live a life, and I would aspire to live a life based on free thinking. Anything that stops my free thinking, I will rebel against it. I've had a very aggressive nature to how I would rebel against it in my larger part of my teenage years as I am maturing in life. Aggression, I think the way aggression is coming across has become more dynamic. It's not about being vocally strong. It's not about putting across a point. It's about acknowledging the differences, trying to create less friction, because that's what, I think that's what maturity kind of does to you with time, and so on and so forth. So, and hence something that I still continue doing in spite of years of what I've been doing, people challenging me, me getting into like some intense legal case and all of that.
I still remember you calling me, dude, मेरे को terrorist बना दिया मेरा टीवी पर.
Clickbait. So I mean, there has been.
Remember that was super funny, by the way. I remember speaking to my ex at that time, and he was laughing. He's like, "Is that Clint's?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's Clint's."
Yeah. It was intense, man. I think, and that's what it is. I feel how I look at life today is this: every failure is a learning lesson. Everything that you are not able to excel in is just something that we get to see why that is not happening. So when the focus is on the solution and not on the problem, I feel it makes your life way much more easier, because now you're looking towards evolution and growth and not towards what is pulling you down. But I have to say this, and people who are watching this should know that one of the biggest things that I admire about you is your ability to invest a lot of your time, energy, resources into prepping, into doing whatever it is. And in my life, a larger part of my performance life, I have exactly been the opposite guy. I wouldn't prepare till the show is over. Because my preparation begins after the show. I'll tell you why I say that. It might sound as a joke or whatever, but I really mean it. How I look at it is, for me, it's a challenge. That gives me the high. To be on stage in a very uncomfortable, unknown space. I don't know what I have to say. I don't know a lot of things, but yet be calm and composed. Calm and composed in the sense that you don't look worried or you don't look that. To be able to do that, and I think, and that's my rebelliousness. That's where I was told that you need to be prepared, you need to have scripting, you need to have a process in place that helps you. And I said, fuck that shit. My process is no process.
Wow. I love that. My process
is no process.
This is going to be my line. I am actually like, I'm stealing this one.
Actually, this episode can be called My Process is No Process. So singing has been, of course, a larger part of what I used to do in my early phase as an artist, then kind of transition from singing to emceeing largely, emceeing to TV host while emceeing was going on. Emceeing still continues with a little bit of singing that I do for virtual gigs, and now, I think the next phase of life is the entrepreneurial,
which I was going to come to, because during the lockdown, taking that leap of faith, and once again I'm going to reiterate the fact, going all in. Right? I remember sitting with him and having this conversation, and I was telling you this, Linz, are you sure? And you're like, you call me up and you're like, Lindsay, this is it. Babe, this is it. I'm going all in.
It's an all in.
Yeah. So then I see a brand transition, which you're doing emceeing, you are currently, but I see motivational speaker coming up, happiness coach coming up, and the kind of brilliant content that you've been putting to inspire youngsters, the world out there. What made you take that plunge? Because we were all frenzy, right? Like, oh my God, kharcha kaise niklega? At the end of the day, payments are not coming through, and here you are, full-fledged, getting into a completely different vocation.
So I think, again, looping it back on, I will say about the foundation of your belief system. I have largely focused on solutions and not the problems, because that's the fine line of difference. That's what we were just talking a while earlier, right? If your focus is on everything that can go wrong because of a decision you take, then it is quite possible that that's what might happen. But if you use everything that can go wrong as a data point, then you can do a lot of things to make sure that doesn't happen. And hence, it's just information that if I do this, it's potentially, shit can go wrong. So in that case, shit can go wrong. If that's your thought, then it will go wrong. But if you think that it will go wrong, and hence I have a plan B, or if I'm going to do this so that this takes care of this, it's like you're going for a road trip, right? It's important that you have an extra tire, because what if one tire bursts out? You have a backup tire. It's as simple as it is. So just because it's gonna burst doesn't mean you won't go out for a road trip.
Right.
So it's just that. let's make it more simple, right? Forget about road trip. Not everybody is like a traveling junkie or whatever. Let's say एक दिन तुमने एक बुरा सपना देखा, अगले दिन से तुम सोना तो नहीं छोड़ोगे ना यार. You have to go to sleep again. It doesn't matter कि बुरा सपना आएगा, अच्छा सपना आएगा. You're going to go to sleep. Of course, how you prepare yourself for that is something that is, and I think that's again largely a part of that. It's that belief. I might be wrong, I might be right, and it's not a right versus wrong fight also. It's about I believe in it. Do I live what I believe in? And I think a lot of us believe in a lot of things, but it's very challenging to live those belief systems.
Yeah, of course.
And I use every day as an opportunity, and that's why that thing that I every day say, right? Boom shakalaka, it's a beautiful day, as I always say. It sounds fun, just at the say of it, but I mean it. I mean it to an extent that I say that every day. In the past 5 years, I would have said that actually over 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I would have actually said that over 1,000 times in the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Right.
The more I said it, the more I believed in it. The more I believed in it, my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, my behaviors kind of started reflecting the same. The more I started doing that and started putting it on social media,
right,
the more reflection of the same I got from people that further reinstilled the same belief within me. So I think, and that's the reason that I kind of infused that into my social media as well, because I knew that it's not just a validation game, it's also about if people see you the way you want them to see, it can create a rippling effect within yourself. If you want people to perceive you as a good person, and maybe let's say you're not necessarily a good person, but you pretend to be a good person, you know, after a point of time it becomes muscle memory, right? The more you practice, the better you get at it. So if the intentions were pure that you wanted to be a good guy and maybe you're not that today, but you want people to know about it, and if you use that as a driving force to help you become a good person, it does happen. Like I'm actually, in my opinion, I'm a living example of that. So yeah, just answering your question, why all in move, why invest into a team at a point when larger companies were
like
releasing their
sacking people,
employees,
yeah,
and
here
teammates.
you were like hiring on a...
Here I was, we had hired, we didn't do salary cuts, because for me that was very important. I said we might not be earning necessarily what we used to earn before in a pre-pandemic world. While the pandemic was going on, I said there are two things to it. One is, I believe as a leader, the boss makes a call, a leader makes a call. The boss makes a call because the boss is self-centered. He wants his work done. The leader makes a call because he wants to create an impact to the world. He needs to empower his own team. There are various things the leader looks at it. And for me, I wanted to be a leader. This was an opportunity to practice what I kind of believed in.
Yeah.
Everybody said, including you, Ki, what is the point of having a team at this point in time? Everybody's sitting at home. How are you going to even operate? Even I didn't know how we were going to do a lot of things, but I said, we will do it.
We'll figure it out.
We will figure it out. We are going to make it happen. For me, now the game is not about being number one. I'm very clear about it. I know I might sound a little prudish to say that, but now for me, it's not about being the best, not about being number one. Now it's about being the most impactful. Because number one, the best, winning award is a story of passion. It's not a story of purpose. Passion is when it's in it for you at the max. Purpose is you begin that stage with everything around you, you are the best. It's just the beginning line for the purpose to begin.
I have curated a few questions for you. As your bestie, there are certain prerogatives that I get. So here it goes. You have to be fun.
Yeah.
That you are. You have to be rapid, and
that I am as well.
Yeah, you have to be quirky too. All right. So let's start.
Okay.
Your first question: given the chance to live as anybody for one day, who would you choose and why?
I would choose to be myself. Why? Because I love my life.
Wow.
I love my life.
If you wake up as Lincia, what would you do the entire day?
Wow, I would be outrageously inspiring people.
Oh, nice.
I would inspire people with my outrageousness. Let me just rephrase that.
Okay,
So,
most embarrassing thing you've ever done in your life?
I don't know, man. Like maybe having open zip while performing on stage. Or
Oh, did that happen?
Or like even like saying like some shit. Oh yeah, I have to say this quick embarrassing thing. I was giving gali to my school PT professor in the toilet like uski ye kar dunga, wo kar dunga, like some real intense boys talk that I was having with a friend. Later I come to know the professor was actually in the toilet. He heard the whole
Oh
scene.
my goodness! Did he confront you?
He did confront me, and I feel it's not just embarrassing, that's one of the worst things that I've done in my life. If I was him, I would have come out of the toilet at that point in time, maybe physically would have
He would have
abused
just
that guy.
probably just peed. Like,
No, I would have, if it was me, I think, I would have, so shout out to Leslie sir, I'm really sorry for what I've done. I think I'm learning, and thanks for being patient with me, because you have inspired me to now deal with a lot of such challenges in a very patient way. So shout out to Mr. Leslie Rumau, PT professor, PT sir,
Leslie
Holy
sir,
Family
you're a rock
Convent.
star. Thank you for giving us a rock star. Okay, one guilty pleasure.
One guilty pleasure. Watching porn, is that like a guilty pleasure?
Do you still watch porn? Like,
Of course I watch
I thought
porn.
you have a girlfriend, so you must.
What does that got to do with watching porn? I still eat food. Doesn't mean like, like watching porn.
I don't know
Okay, here's
why.
what it is. Watching porn and having a partner are two different things.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Okay.
I am open for debate, guys. I am open for debate on this.
One thing that no one knows about you.
And there are many things people don't know about me.
Like, your parents don't know about you. Or
There are a lot
Audie
of-
doesn't know about you.
I think Audie largely knows a lot of
But
things about
one
me.
thing, if you have to say on this show that she also doesn't, and your parents don't know.
Like, there are a lot of things my parents don't know. That's a parallel story. That story starts with my insecurities and what I think about how they would perceive of what I would say. So that I'm working on it, and I'm opening up to my
Right.
parents about it, and it's a very difficult thing to do that. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers who are watching this, they also face the
Face the
similar
same,
challenge, be it with parents or with friends or with like their bosses or work colleagues or whatever it is, right? We all, if we are not able to talk to people, it's not because people don't understand you. It's just because we haven't figured a way to express ourselves in a way where they will understand. So as I said, intrinsic motivation, it has to be you who have to make a bigger change or difference to what you want, not like the world is going to change. So I think with Audrey, it's a different thing. Audrey knows a lot about me. We've been very open, and I feel the best way to connect with your partner is to be as vulnerable as possible.
Yeah.
It can have its own negative impacts.
Of course.
That's a different story. But I feel if your vulnerability can help you bond better, and if that's your cementing factor for your compatibility, then the relationship has more possibility to sustain longer. So I feel that's something that we're working on.
Superb. And with that, we've come to the end.
We've come to the end.
of the Lindsay
No, we have
Rosario
more
show.
questions. No, I want to be on. No, I want to stay longer on the Lindsay Rosario show. I don't want to end this now. I want more. I want. नहीं, एक question पूछ ले यार. एक question तो पूछ ले. please.
Okay, so last question.
यार दो question.
Tell me about your first girlfriend and how many girlfriends you've actually had.
Yeah,
Are
she's
you
a very,
in
yeah, I just recently met her also. Very
Oh, you're in touch
beautiful.
with her?
I'm in touch with her. I'm in touch with with all the women that I've had any sort of relationship with.
Right.
Is it like emotional or physical or whatever it is? In touch with, as in like I've never had like, like barring one or two if at all, like it was a sour ending largely, but otherwise it's been pretty chill. And
So you are in touch with her and you've had like a,
yeah, we just recently, she
Friends.
came over, we had a coffee
Oh,
session in the
lovely.
balcony.
Oh.
She was talking about her adventures in life, so was I. She's a very big Instagram influencer, and she's a fashion makeup influencer and stuff like that. I'm very happy for how she's doing and stuff like that. So
superb. And that's what I love about you, Clint, that you never make any situation odd. You always have this beautiful quality about you of binding people together, and I think that's something I need to learn from you. And thank you for being my first guest on the Lindsay Rosario show. Please tell people to subscribe to this channel, subscribe to this podcast.
Okay, subscribe to the Lincia Rosario channel because the first episode shot was at the Zen Studios. The guest was Clint Verghese @ Coach Clint. You can check out Coach Clint's Happiness Academy. We're also going to work on Coach Engage and Inspire Leadership Academy. And you get all the information out there. So do tune into Coach Clint's. Do tune into the Engage and Inspire Global Leadership Academy. No, but keeping the jokes aside, I think it'll be a great opportunity for every one of us who are watching the show, because Lincia has some great friends, and I'm sure you'll be able to bring together a lot of valuable thoughts and wisdom, all encapsulated into the Lincia Rosario show. So I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you, Clint. Thank you for all.
And you can follow me on @Coach Clint.
इतना plug in करेगा भाई. So thank you so much for joining in, and next week we will have one more special person joining us. Till then, stay happy,
Follow me on Instagram @Coach Clint.
stay sexy.
Yeah, I used to say that, but now I've made it.
I thought you would say stay sexy, but मेरा पोपट कर दिया तूने.
No, so now I've changed it. Now it's called keep smiling, keep spreading smiles, and I used to stay sexy, but now I make it keep smiling, keep spreading smiles, and stay happy.
Stay happy.